Only a handful of companies actually manufacture the gold chains sold across every major U.S. retailer. Many listings are the same base metal, the same plating process, just a different brand name stamped on the packaging. 12 chains were ranked here, from $10 to $200, across the platforms Americans actually buy from. Temu, Walmart, Shein, Amazon, Kohls, and JCPenney. Only 3 are genuinely worth the money. The rest rely on photography, marketing language, and brand recognition to justify a price the materials don't back up. Let's start at the bottom. The gold chain market runs on a single piece of language that shows up in almost every listing, regardless of price. Looks just like real gold. That phrase appears on $10 chains and $95 chains alike, and in both cases, it means the same thing. This is not gold. It is a coating designed to resemble gold. 12 chains were evaluated across every price tier a typical buyer would consider. Each one was assessed against 3 fixed criteria. First, the actual declared material. Gold-plated over brass, gold-plated over stainless steel, gold-filled, or solid carat gold, since that single detail determines almost everything about long-term performance. Second, build quality and weight, cross-referenced against verified owner photos, since a thin base metal feels and looks different from a properly constructed piece, regardless of what the coating looks like on day one. Third, aggregated owner feedback, specifically from reviews left weeks or months after purchase, not the 5-star reviews posted within hours of unboxing. Material. Build. Long-term durability. Every chain on this list was filtered through those 3 categories, and the pattern that emerges is consistent across nearly every price tier, except for a handful of outliers where the price tag and the actual manufacturing quality finally start to align. In 12th place, the $10 Temu chain represents the clearest case on this list of a listing claim with no manufacturing standard behind it. The product description states 18K gold-plated, a specific, verifiable claim that, at this price point, no buyer has any real way to confirm. Verified owner reviews establish a consistent pattern. Multiple buyers report the chain feeling distinctly lighter than the listing photos suggest, a strong indicator of minimal base metal beneath the coating. Within the first week of documented wear, several reviews describe color shifting specifically at the clasp, the characteristic dulling that signals the plating layer is already thinning. There is no evidence of quality control standards, third-party material testing, or any documentation beyond the seller's own product description. The value proposition rests entirely on the listing's claims, with no independent verification behind it. Verdict: costume-grade construction with an unverifiable gold claim. Built for a single use, not for daily wear. In 11th place, the $18 Walmart chain takes a more conservative approach to its own marketing, listed simply as a gold-tone fashion necklace with no carat claims attached. That restraint earns it a small amount of credibility the Temu listing lacks. Owner photos document a build that is a measurable step up. Heavier links, a more secure clasp mechanism, and an overall construction that holds up under closer inspection. The absence of an inflated gold claim means there is, at minimum, no false advertising to evaluate. However, durability reviews tell a familiar story. Buyers who left feedback after a week or more of wear report the same brassy fading observed in the Temu chain, concentrated at points of repeated skin and fabric contact. The improved construction does not appear to translate into a meaningfully longer coating lifespan. Verdict: better construction, identical fading timeline. A short-term fashion piece with more honest marketing. 2 chains in, and the bottom tier confirms the obvious. Minimal price means minimal coating, regardless of how the listing is worded. The next tier is where brand reputation starts entering the picture, and where the gap between marketing language and actual manufacturing quality either closes or widens further. In 10th place, the $25 Shein chain demonstrates a brand whose primary investment is in presentation rather than material. The listing photography is polished, trend-aligned, and designed to sell the aesthetic before the buyer ever evaluates the actual product. Owner reviews describe a build that is functionally consistent. Even links, a working clasp, no structural defects reported. But a recurring detail surfaces across multiple reviews. A faint, metallic, almost chemical odor straight out of the packaging, typically associated with a lower-grade alloy beneath the plating. Reported wear patterns match the bottom tier closely, with fading at contact points appearing within 5 to 6 days. The $15 premium over the cheapest chain on the list appears to fund marketing and brand positioning, not a documented improvement in materials. Verdict: the price reflects the aesthetic, not the metallurgy. Comparable lifespan to the bottom tier. In 9th place, the $35 Jewlpire chain marks the first clear shift in this investigation. Jewlpire has built a substantial Amazon presence, thousands of accumulated reviews, and an established brand history, the profile of a seller with a long-term reputation to protect rather than a one-time storefront. The listing's claim of genuine gold plating over a stainless steel or brass base is directly supported by longer-term owner reviews. Multiple buyers report 2 or more weeks of regular wear, including documented exposure to showering and sweat, with no major fading and no reported skin discoloration. This is the first chain on the list where the accumulated evidence confirms the manufacturing claim rather than contradicting it. Verdict: the first chain where the listings claim and the owner evidence actually align. In 8th place, the $45 Miabella chain belongs to a brand built specifically around this price tier, and the manufacturing reflects that specialization. Owner reviews consistently describe a noticeably premium feel relative to every chain below it. Substantial weight, evenly distributed plating, and a construction quality that reads closer to a jewelry counter product than a mass-market accessory. The most significant data point across the reviews is durability under documented real-world conditions. Multiple buyers specifically describe wearing the chain through repeated showering and sweat exposure with no reported color shift, no green discoloration, and no flaking. Across every metric evaluated: material claim, build quality, and long-term wear, this chain produces the strongest evidence-to-price ratio of any plated option assessed. Verdict: the strongest plated chain in this investigation. Claim and evidence align completely. This creates an uncomfortable conclusion for the bottom tier. If $35 and $45 reliably produce a properly plated chain, the cheaper chains were not cheap because plating is expensive to do correctly. They were cheap because the manufacturing was deliberately reduced to hit a lower price point. The next tier was expected to extend this upward trend in a straight line. The evidence does not support that assumption. In 7th place, the $60 Kohls Foxtail chain is listed as 14-karat gold-plated, sold through a national retail chain with substantial brand recognition. The Foxtail link pattern produces a genuinely distinctive, rope-like texture, and on pure visual construction, this chain ranks among the most striking pieces in the entire investigation. The reviews, however, identify a specific structural weakness. Multiple buyers report visible dulling concentrated along the textured sections of the Foxtail pattern after approximately 10 days of regular wear. A predictable outcome given that the pattern's increased surface area creates more points of contact for wear to act on. At $60, the documented wear timeline is faster than the price point would suggest it should be. Verdict: visually distinctive, but the textured design accelerates wear faster than the price justifies. In 6th place, the $75 Kohls curb chain uses the flat, interlocking link pattern most commonly associated with the category. The reduced surface texture relative to the Foxtail design appears to translate directly into improved durability. Owner reviews report the color holding through 3 or more weeks of regular wear, paired with a weight reviewers consistently describe as substantial without being heavy. Set against the $45 Miabella chain, however, the documented durability profile is comparable. The $30 premium does not correspond to a proportional increase in long-term performance based on the available evidence. Verdict: reliable construction, but the price increase over the budget tier is not matched by the evidence. In 5th place, The $75 Kohls diamond-cut rope chain is listed as 14-karat plating over a brass base. And that base metal detail carries more weight than it initially appears to. Brass reacts more readily with moisture and sweat than stainless steel, and the owner reviews reflect exactly that vulnerability. This is the first chain in the mid-range tier where reviewers specifically document skin reactions. Faint, temporary discoloration, concentrated around periods of heavy sweat or heat exposure. The diamond-cut texture photographs, well, a point reviewers consistently note. But photographic appeal and documented day-to-day performance produce two separate outcomes here. Verdict: strong visual presentation undermined by a documented base metal weakness. In fourth place, the $95 PAVOI chain comes from a brand with a substantial, consistent review history on Amazon, reflecting a long-term reputation strategy rather than a single product seller. The evidence supports that reputation. Reviewers consistently single out the clasp mechanism as the most secure of any chain evaluated in this investigation, and the plating itself holds across a full month of documented wear with no reported fading or discoloration. The complication at this price point is structural, not a quality issue. At $95, the cost approaches the entry point for solid, unplated gold. The manufacturing here is genuinely sound. The question is whether plated metal is still the right category to be spending this close to that threshold. Verdict: the best engineered plated chain evaluated, positioned uncomfortably close to solid gold pricing. Every chain assessed to this point, regardless of price, has been a coated base metal. Stainless steel, brass, or alloy with a gold layer applied on top. That changes entirely in the next tier, where the underlying material itself shifts. The assumption going in was that this shift would produce an obvious, runaway winner. The evidence complicates that assumption. In third place, the $125 Kohls Cuban chain requires an immediate clarification. Despite the price point, this remains a plated chain, not solid gold. A distinction the listing does not prominently surface, and one that a significant share of buyers at this price likely overlook. The construction itself is well documented. The Cuban link pattern uses thick, flattened links that produce genuine weight and visual presence, and owner reviews report a full month of wear with no fading recorded. The manufacturing quality is not in question. The unresolved issue is categorical. $125 is being spent on plated metal at a price point where solid gold becomes available from competing retailers. Verdict: excellent plated construction, undermined by its proximity to solid gold pricing. In second place, the $160 JCPenney chain marks the categorical turning point of this entire investigation. This is documented 10-karat solid gold, not plated, not coated. The gold content is distributed through the entire metal composition rather than applied as a surface layer. That structural difference is reflected directly in owner reviews. Buyers describe a weight and material quality that plated chains, regardless of construction quality, do not replicate. The underlying reason is straightforward. There is no coating layer to wear off, because the entire chain is composed of the material itself. Reviews document showering, sweating, and extended daily wear over multiple months with zero reported discoloration. The manufacturing category itself eliminates the failure points documented across every plated chain in this investigation. Verdict: the categorical turning point of the entire ranking. Solid material eliminates the core failure mode of every plated competitor. In first place by price, but not by value, the $200 Kohls chain steps up to 14-karat solid gold from the 10-karat composition of the previous entry. Side-by-side owner comparisons confirm a marginally richer, warmer tone consistent with the higher gold purity. Functionally, however, the documented durability and long-term wear profile is nearly identical to the chain priced $40 lower. The assumption entering this investigation was that the highest-priced chain would represent an unambiguous endpoint, a clear justification for the full price gap. The evidence instead shows an excellent product whose advantage over the next tier down is incremental rather than categorical. Verdict: A genuinely excellent chain whose $40 premium buys a marginal tone difference, not a meaningfully different product. Across all 12 chains, one pattern holds consistently. Below $50, every listing examined produced the same outcome regardless of seller. Documented fading within days, confirmed across multiple independent review sets. The marketing language varies. The underlying manufacturing does not. Between $35 and $95, the evidence identifies two clear outliers. Jewlpire and Miabella both produced documented durability results that matched or exceeded chains priced significantly higher. Of the two, the Miabella chain at $45 stands as the strongest plated option across the entire investigation, based on the full body of owner evidence reviewed. Above $125, the category itself shifts from plated to solid, and at that point, price stops correlating meaningfully with performance. The $160 and $200 chains produce nearly identical long-term durability profiles, despite a $40 gap and a full carat difference in composition. The conclusion the evidence supports is straightforward. For a temporary fashion piece, the budget tier performs exactly as expected, and no further spending is justified. For plated jewelry intended for genuine daily wear, $45 represents the confirmed value ceiling in this investigation. And for solid gold, the $160 threshold delivers the same documented outcome as the $200 option, without the additional cost. The highest price point in this investigation was not the highest value outcome. That position belonged to a chain sitting in the middle of the list throughout. Subscribe for more evidence-based investigations that go past the listing and into what the materials and the reviews actually confirm.